Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. So what we'll do is if like we're trying to get these mics to be the same. So if Dia is going to be on 3, so he'll be on the right. We'll put Michael with the smiley face on the left. So if one of them's talking louder than the other, and it's just a feel thing, dude. You could just kind of bump them up or whatever just to kind of try to get that equal thing, if that makes sense.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. So by all definitions, Sonder is a new and not real word, but still the comments that users have made that it's not a real word irks me. Here's why. Sometimes it's easy to think about just walking up to a stranger and striking up a conversation, but other times it's extremely difficult. The fear just takes.
Test, test, test. The test of a man is a fight that he makes, the grit that he daily shows. Do you need me to keep going? Yes, sir. The way he stands upon his feet and takes life's numerous bumps and blows. A coward can smile when there's not to fear, and nothing has progressed bars. But it takes a man to stand and cheer while others follow stars. It isn't the victory after all, but a fight.
There we go.
Test. Light. Let there be light.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. I want to start with this this quote that the elders in my community say, and it's been riding with me a little bit. They say people don't have to be nice, and they certainly don't have to be nice to you. I say that to say I want to start with a few thank yous. Typically, I end with saying thank you, but I want to start with saying thank you. One, thank you to South Park Church for providing this, for your hospitality, for providing this outlet and opportunity. For that, I say thank you. Thank you to Kay and the Light Factory. Thank you for the hard work you're doing to nurture this partnership. We are extremely optimistic about the great things that are going to come out of this partnership. And Kay, I know you probably don't hear it nearly enough, but you are absolutely amazing. Thank you for the hard work that you're doing to provide opportunities for local artists. Thank you to Vaughn. Thank you to Brother Kerry. Thank you to Mert. Thank you to Kevin for your hard work this evening. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We couldn't say that enough because this is going to be an entertaining conversation for sure. I also want to say thank you to Julian Maxwell. That's the brother that, Jalen, excuse me, thank you. Jalen Maxwell, that's the brother that provided the music for us. And I'd be remiss, brother. I have to say thank you to our featured artist, Brother Michael Maxwell. Thank you, brother, for sharing your art with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for your resilience, your tenacity. There's so many amazing things that I could say about this brother, but his work ethic and his photography speaks for itself. But I will take this personal note of privilege and just personally want to say thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your advice, for your wisdom. And black men don't tell each other this enough. I love you, brother.
I love you too, man.
And the people in this audience right here, they're proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Definitely. I'm your navigator for this evening, Reverend D'Angelo Dia. I serve as the assistant to the pastor at St. Paul Baptist Church, and I'm a member of the Goodyear Arts Collective here in Charlotte. I also want to say thank you to those that are streaming in with us. It's Friday night. We recognize that. There are a lot of things that you could be doing with your Friday night, but you chose to spend your Friday night with us. I do want to give you this disclaimer, though. This is not a conversation about how to access your camera with certain, figuring out the technical things. This is a conversation about the man behind the camera, the power of nurturing community and the work that this brother is doing. So I will slide right into my first question. It's going to be an interesting one, brother.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
It's going to be an interesting one. This may be the most difficult question of the night, so you got to make sure you get this one right. Okay. As a community builder, as a creative, as a photographer, during this pandemic, what have you learned about yourself specifically from your wife, Dawn?
That is it's somewhat difficult. It requires some thought. Wow. Specifically with the pandemic, I think Dawn has just really almost reiterated things to me about myself that I sometimes doubt. That I'm capable, that I've got this. That I can meet certain challenges. And that I'm loved. I had COVID in July. And it was just reiterated to me that she is going to always be there, that I am not in life alone. You understand that, yeah.
And I asked that question specifically. We have these talks, or we go out and we create, and people see the work, but they don't always see the tribe behind us, inspiring us, motivating us, keeping us, affirming us when we don't necessarily affirm ourselves, when we doubt ourselves.
Yeah.
And I fall in that trap at times with social media. So for you, what has the tribe, what has the community meant for you in the cultivation of your work?
it's the encouraging spirit that my community has for me, my family, my close friends, my church friends. I'm always being edified by them, and especially lately, Dia, I've been recognized a little bit more, by the art community. Certain people in the art community. I was just in the show at the Mint that King Carla put on, and so I'm always being encouraged, and I'm always being nurtured into believing that I can do this, that I've got this. I'm always told that they appreciate my work, that I bring such humanity to it. And those kinds of things. And so that's kind of been what that's been like for me.
Yeah, and you used the word humanity there. Like, that's one of the things I'm getting from your work. Like, it is an invitation to see the full humanity of individuals. That's what it's been for me. This has nothing to do with our conversation right here, but I'm glad that it's two short men up here, because I was going to be concerned if I was the only one. My feet couldn't touch the floor, and I was going to be the only one. I was going to be concerned.
Oh, no, you safe, bro.
I'm in good company.
Absolutely.
So if you could tell us a little bit about your background. Some of the places maybe you went to school, where you're originally from. Maybe a little something about your parents, because I also think that feeds into our work in ways that people don't always see.
Right. So I used to always call myself a military brat. I don't do that anymore. I used to, when people would ask me where I'm from, I would go into grave detail about where my family has been, where my brother Didi and I were born in Missouri, in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. I would give every detail. I had two brothers born in Greece, and so we've traveled all over the place. But now I just say I am from Charlotte. This is where we settled. We settled here in 1965. My parents bought a home and we settled. But we were back and forth from Fort Belvoir, Virginia, throughout all the travels. I went to West Charlotte High School, where I graduated on a wing and a prayer. Truthfully, I was a at-risk student, man. I was picked. West Charlotte at the time in the 70s were doing innovative programming for students. The white kids had just gotten bused over there to West Charlotte, and they integrated, and they were doing some amazing things with their curriculums. And they created a program called Hang On. That's funny, because literally that's what they meant. The mission was, when you come to your end of your rope, tie a knot in it and hang on. And that's what that was our mantra, and hang on. And all the kids that were in that program, all of us were made of the same thing, man. We were some interesting, quirky, artistic, lovable young people, but just didn't gravitate toward the academics. And so, but that got me out of high school. And then from there, I went to Johnson C. Smith, another wing and a prayer, and graduated. Thank you, Lordy, and so that's been my time here in Charlotte, and academics and things like that.
I love that, and we're going to navigate. For those listening and those here with us, this is going to be a really organic conversation. We're going to call some people out and call some of them in. The education thing is like kind of funny, and I love the military part. We connect on that. I used to say military brat for myself as well. But what I do see it in my work, and I see it in yours as well, how you're bridging these communities with a diversity of people.
Right.
How intentional is that for you, or is that just something that's a part of your fabric?
Interesting, because I really believe that it's a part of my fabric first and foremost. But then there is some intentionality about it. But growing up in a military family, my father was a retired colonel. He was full bird, and during that time, there was not a lot of Black American brass, at that time. And so wherever we went during that time, we were always the real minority. But it was always a military type thing. So it wasn't black and white. As a kid, it was just military. And then when we left the military and came to Charlotte, it became very loud and clear, a black and white thing. And I just remember gravitating really heavily to owning my blackness. because it was new to me. I promise you, it was new to me. And so when I got to Charlotte, I wanted to do it B and vibe and everything black, to the extreme. That pendulum swung way to a place that I almost didn't come back from, Yeah. And as I continued to get older and mature, it swang back to a place of balance as it related to community and things like that. And so I wasn't extremely, at this place of y'all ain't this or y'all are that, or, we this and we that. It became a lot more balanced and a lot more thoughtful in how I did that. And so when I'm out on the street photographing now, part of what drives Sonder is kind of like both of those worlds and that pendulum swinging back to a place of balance.
Yeah. You one of the things I love about your brother is your smooth and your mellow disposition. And I love when you mention West Charlotte. Normally when people mention West Charlotte, they hopping around at that point, Dub C, and it turns out space. And I know you got it in you.
I do.
So, but I want to jump back to the school thing for a moment, in the sense that I think school can be such an arbitrary thing. No one's ever interviewed me and been like, brother, show me your grades, but I've always made good grades. So at this point in my life, it's so arbitrary. It doesn't really equate to what's in our spirit sometimes. And I say that to say, if you could say something to those teachers now when they were considering you at risk, putting these labels and titles on you, what would you say to them? Because what I see you doing in your work is you are dismantling a system by eliminating the stigma and the titles for some things. I may mess up the sister's name, but I think her name is, y'all work together at the courthouse. Could you, Saban? She's here with us this evening.
Saida, my sister Saida. Yes. Oh, yeah,
Saida.
Absolutely.
So there's a beauty in how we think about things, like, and I'm just taking this partly away, if you could track with me. I remember when 9/11 happened, and the horrific feeling I had when the president come on and he says 150 times, terrorists, terrorists, terrorists. And in some places they were considered freedom fighters. And then there was this stigma put on the hijab. But you are dismantling a language that had been put on something. But I specifically want to know about, what would you say to those teachers that put a language and a stigma on you when you were really, discovering who you were in fullness?
So that's an interesting question, especially for my experience. It was so different than what I see happening to kids now, because I really felt like I was being nurtured. That there was really an attempt to help me. I really felt that. It wasn't. I remember my teachers, Diane Green and Mr. A couple of other ones. I can't remember their names, but they seemed to really care at West Charlotte. It was a totally different experience. And the other thing, the black kids that were in that program were the minority. And so there wasn't this feeling of putting a label on me. It felt to me like, thank God for this. You know what I mean? Because I really wasn't living up to my, the potential. I just, there was other things going on. But in terms of the teachers now, not teachers, I don't want to generalize or anything like that, but I know what you mean about some kids being labeled. No effort is being put forth to teach them differently. That's the new thing now. And so I would just tell teachers that a lot of times that it's important to make sure you're challenging this kid, because most of the time he's probably smarter than what you're teaching to, and he's bored, and he's not or she is not able to, and then when he challenges that as a kid, then he's shut down or whatever. So I think it's just important for educators this day and age to really look deeper into a child's learning style, because it's all been geared toward another system. It was never geared toward, exactly what I'm talking about. And so, yeah, I would just say, look deeper.
Yeah. And I'm just curious for my own edification now, were those teachers at West Charlotte, were they black primarily?
They were black and white. Listen, West Charlotte, they were on NPR this last week talking about how amazing this school was and how innovative they were to reach their kids. And I mean, this was during a time when they were rioting all over the country. Boston in particular was going crazy because of busing. Boston sent delegates to Charlotte on more than one occasion just to learn what we were doing at West Charlotte that made our world work a little better than other places in this country.
And I see the fabric of how that worked through your essence. I see that, I feel that. I see it in your work as well. There's a photo of a group of young men sitting on a porch, sitting on some steps. Could you say a little bit about that? I have another question or thought I'm going to transition to as well, but this is it right here.
So
this group of young men.
This is my my next door neighbor's backyard, and it's right next to ours. And these are the kids that are in the neighborhood. The one on the top and the second on the second step lives across the street, and we spend some quality time together. That they're out in the backyard throwing a football, or if they're playing at their rim. I bring a couple of them with me on photo shoots. I've taught them how to work my light and assist me on photo shoots. They love it, and they just are amazing. And my boy on the top right, right, he's biracial, and his mom's white, his father is black, and we have some very powerful conversations. And during the height of the uprising, he and I had some really deep conversations because he was stuck in that world of, and he had some, it was confusing to him, but these guys mean a lot to me, and they allow me to talk to them, and I can get real with them. And when I'm washing my car or I'm outside, they'll come over, and before you know it, they're sitting on the generator that's in front of our house, and we're chewing the fat. We're talking about some real stuff, Sometimes I have to get on them, too. Sometimes I have to, keep it real. So, yeah, those are my guys, man.
And if you could please just leave this up for a while. I just really want people to digest this image for a while. And I love how you've used the camera almost to turn that moment, that space into the barbershop for us.
Yeah.
I mean, very much has become that in many ways. This is a question I'm processing for myself, so I don't ask it as a loaded question or anything. In consideration of how toxic, the current moment feels, how divisive the current moment feels, and the history of not just this moment, but the history of executing, government-sanctioned execution of black and brown people. How are you processing what's going on, and how has your camera been an outlet of trying to process some of that, or also reclaiming joy for yourself?
When I'm processing all of this that's going on, it's been going on for so long, but the process continues. And as I'm processing, one of the things that I have to do is, I have to ask myself several questions, because I have so many emotions and feelings that coexist within all of this. And they range from hate, anger, hope, and I'm going to talk about joy, confusion, the feeling to want to say, screw it, what's the point in voting? All those feelings, man, just coexist within me. I've always said it's complicated being black in America. We know that, but and so what I do truly is think about. So, for instance, if anger and hate rises up in me, I just try and, first of all, not to be too hard on myself for feeling that way, and not condemning myself, and validate those feelings. And with that, I try to also think about what I believe is the inherent goodness in humanity. and I process that back, and I can walk myself off that ledge of hate and that ledge of anger, because I do believe and I do hope that's what's up. So processing for me is almost like sitting down having a conversation with myself about humanity, my own personal experience, and that goodness for me is always the outcome for me, if that makes any sense at all. I just ride on that side, and I don't ever want to think that we are in a kumbaya moment. I stay away from that kumbaya because I don't want to hold hands and just sing kumbaya. It's very important that this doesn't get twisted up in that. You know what I mean? But there's just a light that I believe that is the beacon for me that keeps me on the side of sanity, and while I'm processing all of this. But every day I have to go through that every day because it's happening every single day.
Yeah, and I asked that question. This image right here, I can't help but think about the things that have been going on, but also the reflection of joy that I know is in the spirit of these young men when they're spending that quality time, specifically with you.
Yeah.
I feel that. I see that. It reminds me of myself sitting with some of my friends, not having that sage to sit with, to give us those words of wisdom that you're providing. Could you walk us through your camera story, like the first time you got your hands on a camera? And please, you can scroll through these images if you would like.
So the first camera that I ever picked up was a Kodak 110 with bellows. And that was...
You can actually stay right here, brother. Stay here for a while.
And that was in the early 70s. I think I might have been in the 7th grade or 8th grade, but I had already fallen in love with photography before I ever even picked the camera up. Yeah, because my father when he was in Vietnam, World War II, and Korea, and he was an engineer, but he was also a photographer, and whenever he was at home, stateside or whatever, for entertainment, he would put up an old slide projector, and he had all these beautiful Kodachrome slides that he shot all over the world, man. And I mean, they were pristine, man. He could have been a photographer for National Geographic. And I don't know if this is, if it's a fact or not, but I remember my brothers and sisters being bored with seeing those slides over and over again, right? Because it was like, they wanted to get up and go somewhere. I think I was completely fascinated by what I was seeing. Pictures of rickshaws and rice paddies and all these pictures of Europe, all these different things, and it just fascinated me. And the fact that he could do that with a camera just was like, wow, this is amazing. So that was.
This image here makes me smile. On a personal level, I could never get my fro to pick out just as even as this brother got.
Unbelievable.
This brother got a prestige fro.
Unbelievable.
And there's a timelessness about it.
Yeah.
This lives outside of the void of time.
Yeah.
Could you walk us through the moment that you walked upon this brother and asked him, or how did you engage him? With
I did. I just didn't lift my camera. I wanted to let him know that I admired his authenticity first and foremost. That he truly embodied a coolness and an authenticity that was just, that wasn't a uniform he had on. That wasn't an outfit. That was not, this is who he really was, and that's what I feel. And I walked up to him in a phone booth, it was like at a bus stop, and it was actually New York City. And so I just went up to him and I said, "Brother, do you mind if I take a couple of pictures of you, man?" I said, "I just love your fro, man. I love your groove, man. I'm just vibing with this." He said, "Sure." And that was the end of it, man. And he didn't, give me this it was just like, yeah, because he knew I wasn't trying to get anything but his essence, you know what I mean? He knew that, and that was the unspoken consent that I think that took place there, you know?
And the juxtaposition for me also of, I don't know if everyone can see it, but it says, a family of 4 spends $1,500 a year on food they don't eat. And then the seriousness and the beauty of this brother's, like this brother's like saying, this is my smile.
Yeah.
There's something about it. There's a Shaft-like
Yeah.
quality. I think Shaft
Yeah.
was the first amazing superhero, too. I just want to
Yeah.
put that out to the universe. His blackness was his superpower.
Right,
And that's
right.
what I'm getting from this brother, that
Yeah.
his identity is his superpower.
Yeah.
And there's something special about that. There's an image in your collection. I'll tell you, it messed with me a little bit. I don't know if Brother Kevin can take us to it, but it's the gentleman. He's wearing good old Southern Heritage hat.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Here it is right here.
Yeah.
Yes. The South will rise again.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
I want to know about like the moment you approached him, and I've been able to process this a little now, and there's something I applaud you for being able to approach him to take the photograph. Because I've been in those moments, and I want to sneak it.
Yeah.
And I know we all probably have. We've seen we want to sneak the photo.
Right.
But this is not this is not I'm gonna take your image.
That's right. That's right.
It's like, let's engage with each other.
That's right.
Let's create together.
That's right.
Please walk me through this one.
So it's interesting you said that, because that's Sonder for me is never a take. It is never a take, and it is a create. It is a practice for me. Sonder is. And as I was thinking about this today, and you used the word approach, and because sometimes when I'm on the street taking pictures, I am drawn to what seems to be the unapproachable. I will approach the unapproachable. In my head, that's the unapproachable. But I have to break through that. I think we all have to break through what we think is the unapproachable. Otherwise, nothing will get done. And so that was truly a quintessential approach the unapproachable. A rebel hat, the South is going to rise again. And so when I approached him, I have a preconceived notion about what that means for him. He might have a preconceived notion about what that means to me. And so those two, we didn't even get to that, to what it means to him or what it means to me. What it was simply, I noticed him, he noticed that I did, and he allowed me to just capture this image. And it was, what are you going to do with it? What do you do with it? I said, here's what I'm doing. I'm taking pictures of everyday people just doing everyday things, just to show, that there are commonalities that we have that sometimes we just don't know about, And he was like, oh, cool, thank you. He thanked me. One of my friends, Sherry Waters, I don't know if you know Sherry or not, Pauline T-Bar, are you familiar with the bar? Yes. Okay, she's the owner of the Pauline T-Bar. She's a dear, dear friend. She's a chaplain. She's a wonderful human being, man. And she said once about Sonder that that we all want to be noticed in some kind of way, and that simply being present in somebody's space for that time gives them something. You know what I mean? And so, that could have been the case for him, but it was an instance of approaching what seems to be the unapproachable. And I want to tell another quick story, Dia.
Go ahead, absolutely.
About that, because Dawn and I were in a city nearby here, a city next door. And I'm not too particular about going there. I'm just going to keep it honest, And we were there. I think we were I can't remember what store we were at, but she was doing her shopping. So I was just in a bad mood that day, man. I was like not feeling it. I wanted to go. And so I just sat down like in the front, right, where a couple of other husbands were sitting, right, wanting to leave, But there was a gentleman sitting there. He had on farmer jeans, overalls, right? He had a beard, like a ZZ Top beard. It was all the way down to here. This gentleman was much older than I was, right? And he was sitting there, and he had a look on his face. It probably looked like the look that I had on my face, right? I had created a scenario in my head about this gentleman, all because I was in a bad mood, right? And I said, and now I'm sitting up in here. You understand? And I made him out to be something in my head. I created this person, and it hit me really, really hard as I was doing that. What you're doing is so wrong. This is a true process. You were asking me about my process. And I said to myself, what are you doing? This is how you're rolling, you know? And so I said, it's just wrong. And so what I did was I walked up to him. I didn't have a camera that day. I just walked over there to him. And I said, hey, excuse me. I said, I just want to let you know, man, I love your beard. And the biggest, the Grinch, when the Grinch heart started doing like this right here. You remember when the Grinch got all happy? Yes, that's what happened to him. Yeah. I'm not exaggerating. And he said, you like it for real? I mean, I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get silly. You know what I'm saying? But he was moved by that. And he said, my wife doesn't. And he went on, and I couldn't stop him after that. And there was just this little, and I laughed. And it taught me something, that a lot of the work for me that has to be done, we have to do it internally ourselves, and we have to check ourselves. We got to check ourselves, man. And if we can't check ourselves, then I think it's more difficult for somebody else to check us. It starts with us, you know what I mean? You got to check our how we flowing,
Absolutely. And you can slide to the next image. For those that may not know, where did the name Sonder come from, and what does it mean to you?
So Sonder, there's this gentleman. He was a blogger on Tumblr, and he created, I think his blog was the Dictionary of the Obscured Sorrows or something like that. And he had made up words in it, and Sonder was one of them. And I can't remember the definition completely verbatim, but it's a realization that each individual, each passerby is living a life equally as complex, equally as vivid, equally as difficult or fun or good as the next one, even if you don't even notice them, that their life is also equally as yours. And when a friend of mine turned me on to that word, because he said, Mike, I see this in your work, and I'm like, boom, I adopted it, and started, as I was continuing to take pictures on the street, I was already doing it. I created my Instagram, Sonder Charlotte, because that just made all the sense. I said, that's what I'm doing. And so I say, I'm doing more than realizing it now when I'm taking pictures. I'm practicing Sonder.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yes, and we didn't plan out which images were coming up. These were just this is the organic flow, really, that's truly speaking to us and navigating this conversation. I love this image.
Yeah.
There's something
Powerful.
about the ideal of, I love the shirt, what it's saying here, but also more importantly than that, his pose and his posture.
Yep.
This invitation, I may be big, clearly I'm black, but I can be just as loving as I need to be.
Yeah.
And in relation to Sonder and this specific image, for me, it feels like you're documenting contemporary saints. I often hear that when we talk about sacred art, people talk about stained glass windows, they talk about Renaissance paintings, they talk about hymns, and they often overlook the sacred art that's taking place now.
Yeah.
If any way for you documenting and creating your photography in this moment here, how is it sacred or divine or spiritual for you?
Wow, that's a beautiful question, and I really believe that it is sacred. I think it is divine, because I think my heart is really pure. The essence of it when I'm doing that, I think I'm a pretty good guy anyway. I think I've got a pure heart, but when I'm approaching strangers on the street, and sometimes I'll ask that question, and they'll go, well, what do you want to take this picture for? And so in my aura, in my soul, in my spirit, I'm trying to convey that humanity, that you matter, that I matter, and I'm trying to share that. And you are a part of that, you are a part of that string of pearls, that we all matter. And when I'm capturing your picture and presenting it in that way, and with the things that I will write under your picture, you become a part of that tapestry, of that sacred tapestry of humanity. And so I do believe that that's a part of it. There's sometimes some encounters, man, leave me in tears. Not, and that's truth. I remember I stopped two Sikhs one time. And one spoke English and the other one didn't. And I wanted to take their picture. And I didn't have a camera. I had my phone. But I saw the beauty in this picture. And I knew what had been going on in the community of some of the violence that had been put upon them. And this was in Charlotte. And so I asked. And one was very skeptical, like, whoa, what are you doing? And so I told the one that could speak English what I was doing. And he immediately was compelled to participate. It was like, I want to be a part of that, and he spoke to his friend about it, and they both posed for me. And then we did a three-way selfie, you know what I'm saying? And, and again, it's not about kumbaya, because there's work to need, there's hard work that needs to be done, but if we're talking about Sonder and me walking around with my camera, encountering people, I believe that it is a beautiful, sacred thing that I've found myself being involved in.
Yeah, this is another one for me that has that sacred vibe for me, as if the saints are looking down on her. It has that feeling, coming home to Cherry. I'm assuming you were in the Cherryville area.
Yeah, Cherry, yep, Cherry off of Kings Drive,
Walk us through a little bit of this moment here. What's going on, the approach and, her, if you asked her to pose this way, if it was something organic and natural for her to pose this way.
This is one of those that I remember having two of my young African adopted sons with me. They were loving taking pictures, and the three of us were out doing shooting, and we came upon this woman, and they were all excited, and blah blah. I could see the look on her face. I said, "Just wait a minute," And so I went and sat down with her, and they got a picture of me sitting with her. I don't have it in this particular set, but I sat down with her, and just struck up a conversation about the weather. It was cold that day, and we just talked about waiting on the bus and blah blah blah. And she was nice, but she wasn't over and over like, oh wow, this is blah blah blah. It was just very reserved, and everything. And then when I got up, I asked her if I could take a picture, and she said sure. And just, I appreciated that, because she did not pose for me. It was, again, I don't mind you taking this picture. And we didn't get into the Sonder conversation or anything like that. It was just, again, it was just one of those things that I was allowed to do it. What was going on in her head, I do not know, but she did participate,
I've been excited to ask you this question. There's a lyrical essence for me with your work. As a writer, there's a nice poetic vibe with your work. There's a specific, I love this image right here.
Me too.
This one does have that vibe for me. There's this nice poetic vibe, this timelessness about your work. If you were, just the beauty of this family, the beauty of the melon, the natural hair, everything about this is very divine for me.
Yeah.
If you were to put a soundtrack together for your body of work, what songs or artists or groups would be on that soundtrack?
There would be a lot. I think, without getting into deep thought about it, Stevie Wonder would absolutely be on it, from Songs in the Key of Life, from 76 all the way up to probably, yeah, exactly, Fulfillness, Intervision, especially Intervision. Sly and the Family Stone would be on there, and not just Sly's music, but what Sly was doing at the time with a multicultural band, him and Santana, even the bands of the 60s and 70s, man. I love rock. I played in a band in the 70s, a funk band. Tommy was the drummer, and look, before he started playing the drums, he was the sax player. I was the guitar player, and we were playing Sly and the Family Stone. You know what I mean? And of course, Earth, Wind and Fire, but there's a brother, Gregory. What's Gregory's last name? Take Me to the Alley. Are you familiar with Gregory? He sings with the hat on. Gregory Porter, thank you. Yes, Gregory Porter. And he has a song called Take Me to the Alley. That song brings me to tears every time I hear it. And it's a song about when the divine comes again, where he's going to want to go. And it talks about he's not going to want to come to our big suburban houses and to our gilded houses and our beautifully lined sidewalks. He's going to want to go to where the people are. You know, take me to the alley. And when I hear that song, I just think about a lot of the people that I've encountered along the way who I've taken their picture that are living in places that might not be, you know, the ideal place, you know. Yeah.
If you don't mind, could you go back to the last image for us, please? I definitely want to come back to this one.
Oh, definitely.
This I love all this body of work, but this one on a selfish level. This is my favorite one.
Right.
This brother reminds me of my uncles, my grandfather. It reminds me of what I hope I am when I get older. There's an elegance, there's a regal nature about this. That's grandma's couch that maybe someone cut the plastic off of.
Yeah.
On the velvet couch. You
Right,
rub one
right,
way, it get
right,
light. You rub it another
right,
way, it
right.
get dark.
Right.
This is that feeling that when we stepped out of the house, we were so fresh, so clean.
Yes.
This is, I'm going to be at the Seltzer Club on Wednesday night.
Yes.
I don't know if everyone knows that Seltzer
No,
Club, but
absolutely.
on Thursday night, Dirty 30 Thursday, you got to be 30 to get in. And
That's right.
What happens at Dirty Thursday stays at Dirty 30. This has that feeling to it.
Yeah.
Please tell us, who is this brother?
This is Mr. Deacon Daniel Williams. And he is the grandfather of a dear, dear friend of mine that I've known since my days at Coolwood. And he today is 104 years old. He's still with us. This was taken several years ago. He's 104. That's his actual age. But his Army papers say that he's 105, you know. And he's still married. His wife is still living. I think she's at 100. I mean, and they're vibrant. They have all their faculties. And this was during his birthday. And Brenda had reached out to me, and she says, Mike, will you do some photographs of my grandfather? I said, oh, you just don't even know. So we went in the studio and did this shoot. And I don't know if you're familiar with Brooklyn and Charlotte, right? They lived in Brooklyn back in the day. And this is a little known fact that I did, that he and his wife knew my mother and father as children, not little kids, but, you know, teenagers growing up in Brooklyn. And I didn't know that until we had gotten together and stuff. So he goes to church every Sunday. He's doing well, and he's an awesome man.
And I know everyone may not be able to see this for those that are streaming in with us, but this brother got some clean shoes. These shoes are shined.
Right.
There's something special about that. And this is an art I'm optimistic, and I know will come back.
Okay.
This will relive
Yeah.
In our community, the essence of this photo.
Yeah.
If you could go ahead and go to the one you went to prior to that. Yes. I had the chance to meet this sister tonight.
Yes, Aida.
Her essence, her glow, her smile, her laughter.
It's my girl.
That's the kind of spirit you got to keep as an artist.
Yeah.
Because they will hold us accountable and affirm us.
Yes.
Could you say a little about this relationship?
So, you know, I do domestic violence work. She's a domestic violence advocate. She is also a life coach. She's also of the faith of Islam. But she also has this sense of humor that will knock you off your feet. Let me tell you something. Saeed and I have this relationship that we can sit down and have the most beautiful, nurturing conversations about faith. And that's what I really, really love about her, is that, you know, if I'm talking about God and Christ, right, she's right there with me, having this conversation with me. And if we're talking about Allah, we're right there. I'm right there with her. You know, when I greet her, it's Assalamu alaikum, you know. And when we're laughing, you would not think either one of us had any religion. So I won't even go into that part, you know what I mean? But she is a true advocate. I mean, a true advocate, and she's on the front lines, and she will go to the mat for the people that she fights for. She supports me without a shadow of a doubt. We clicked immediately, and this picture, I asked her with humility, may I please capture your portrait? And she said, absolutely. And so we were at the Black Lives Matter mural painting that day uptown, that big, beautiful event. And my dear friend Chadwick is out in the audience. He was out there painting that day. And so she and I dipped right into there. One of my buddies that was standing there with us, she said, here, hold my purse for me, trusting. She knew, you know what I mean, because we were all right there. And we stepped right there and captured that picture. And it just, you know, and if you look at her mask, you can see that she's an advocate. So,
yeah, I want to say, sister, thank you for the work that you're doing, and thank you for standing in the gap and standing on the front line for the amazing things that you're doing. Thank you for loving my brother and for loving Don and supporting them. This is one of those other images for me as a theologian that speaks to me on a deeply profound and spiritual level.
Too.
There is the planes that you see here with the walls that are created here.
Yeah.
This for me has the feeling that if there is a heaven, I want to be greeted at the gates by a spirit that has disembodiment. Yeah. I want to have a little Parliament Funkadelic or, you know, playing in the background.
I think I see the mothership.
but this has that feeling.
Yeah.
This is that welcome home,
you
know, feeling to it, absolutely.
Yes.
This is another one of those random questions I wanted to ask you. If you could create your own Mount Rushmore and you could have 4 people on that mountain, who would those individuals be? And they don't necessarily have to be artists. And why would they be on there?
Wow.
And brother, you can go to the next image or whatever image you want to select.
You know, I could go down the list of famous people, you know, Muhammad Ali, you know, Malcolm X. I could put those people up there, you know, musicians that I like, people that have struggled. But, you know, the work that I've done in my life outside of photography has been foster care, adoptions, and in-home. And they would be folks that I have met along this way, man. They would be kids, man. The resiliency of some of these children that I've worked with in foster care, they would be on Mount Rushmore. You know, even some of these parents that have had lost their children because of the hardships that they've had to deal with, you know. Parents who've had their kids taken from them because of addiction, and who later overcame their struggles and changed their lives and now are advocates and didn't get their kids back, but are able to go on and help somebody that's going through that same thing. These are the Jesuses. These are the Muhammads. These are the Buddhas. These are the prophets that have been sent here, that have gone through extreme hardship, man. You know, I haven't compared to some of these kids that I've gone through, you know. And the young lady, and God forgive me for not knowing her name right this minute, who was killed in Ohio.
Michaela Brown.
Yes.
Bryant.
Foster care.
Micaiah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and had issues, you know. And I think about the numerous times I've done social work for 20 years. The numerous times that I've had to talk children out of their rage, you know, and so that would be my Mount Rushmore. That would be my Mount Rushmore.
I love that answer, brother. I might ask you earlier about the idea of, you know, joy, and part of my thought there was like, how do we hold on to joy? And then this just organically and naturally in the flow of things came right up.
Yeah.
I don't know if everyone can make out what it says here, but it says, I love family. Tell us about this moment with these two.
So these are my cousin's grandchildren. And I was at a friend's house celebrating a graduation, and I saw them playing out, out in the yard. So I said, I'm gonna go run over and speak to Nisa and them, So I ran over, and they were playing on the ramp, the ramp for the wheelchair, right? And they had chalk and all that kind of stuff, and they had written "I love family" on there, and truly they did not pose for this picture. They were just having fun. They were oblivious to how powerful that was for me, man. And so that just takes me back to the idea of the Sonder idea of all of us who don't love family. Who, not who don't, but you know what I'm saying? Who doesn't love family, And for little kids that just write it on there, and they don't have all the material things, man. They don't, but guess what they do have? They've got a ramp going up to their house that they can scream to the world, "I love family." You want to talk about joy? You're right. That picture came up perfectly organically that,
They're prophets and don't even know it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That is, man. That came down from the mountain right there, man. For real. It's written on a tablet right there. Absolutely, I agree.
Kevin, could you go to the image of the sister on the horse? Yeah, this one right here. There's something I'm constantly worried about that happens often in our community. I feel that we adultify our children sometimes.
Right.
They have to get these. And I know we have to give the story or the expectations of how the world will treat you.
Yeah.
But I'm often concerned about what that will do for maintaining and holding on to the beauty of what childhood should be.
Right.
And there's something about this that speaks to me, lest you forget, I am a child.
Yeah.
There's something about this that speaks to me also in the essence of this is history and heritage being passed down.
Yeah.
Where was this at, and what's going on in this moment?
This was a march. This summer during Black Lives Matter March, and they were out there on their horses, and she and her cohorts were riding. Charlotte's got a huge black horseman community out here, man, and we've loved horses all of our lives growing up, and and so they were riding in the march, protesting. And, she saw me with my camera, and I asked her, I said, "Can I take your picture?" And she just immediately like, "This is what we out here for, we out here like that, But it is a very, very powerful image. But again, it's saying, I am not menacing. I am not a threat to you. My blackness is power, but it's not threatening. I'm not here to kill you. I'm here to celebrate my blackness,
And I feel that in all of this, one of the things that have stuck with me with this, I was looking at some of my older images from visiting different countries, and it was children in different countries picking up a stick, and naturally we break it off into a weapon or something. It's just natural instinct.
Yeah.
No one went out of their way to teach her this beauty of the black power fist, but she's just naturally doing it with a smile. So the juxtaposition of the fist and the smile speaks to me that I can be pro-black. I don't have to be anti-anything.
That's right.
And there's a beauty that exists in here.
Yes.
There's an image, if you could flip for us, there's an image of a certain sister in here. It's just so majestic, so divine. I'm hoping that, I know it's in this slide. If you could just slide through the images for me. And I'm pretty sure you know the image I'm referring to. Well, we can stop right here. And I think we can just go through all of them and start chatting. I got a commentary and a thought about all of them in my head. But what's going on? Where was this? How was the interaction with the sister? And again, that smile.
Yeah.
This is a reminder for me that in the midst of pain, if nothing else we get right as a people, we know how to celebrate.
Yes, we do.
And we know how to bring joy into everything.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. This was an event uptown. It might have been Pop Charlotte. I can't remember exactly what that event was, but they were screen printing over here. I had met this young lady. She's a photographer and model. She is amazing, and she controls her image like you would never believe. I mean, she's meticulous about it. And I remember talking to her one time. And I said to her, I got to get you in front of my lens. I said it as all, I didn't mean it as in an arrogant way, like, everybody want to get in front of my lens. That wasn't the case. But I said it assuming that she would go, oh, yeah. I said, oh, I got to get you in front of my lens. We just like bopping, and she was like this. I just don't get in front of everybody's lens. That's what she told me. I said,
That's an old spirit right there.
it is, man. It is. And you know what? And I appreciated that because she got boundaries. And don't ever assume, you never assume that. She was letting me know. But she said it in a loving way, in a joyous way. And every time we see each other, that's not even a remembrance that happened. You know what I mean? And so this particular day, she had the thing, and when I pointed my camera, she was like loving it, and so boom, and we got that. And I even asked her, I said, I want to use this in my show. And because I DM'd her, I said, I want to put this in my show. Do you mind? She was like this, no, Pete, I'd be honored if you did it, So it is, I love that picture a lot. I love it. Yeah.
And there's multiple, this is the image I'm talking about, definitely, yes.
Yeah.
There's so much about your spirit that as a middle-aged black man, I hold on to, I am attracted to, for wanting it to be in my essence. And part of what you were saying with that image there, opening yourself up to learn from someone else. And this is not a good question for it, so please take it wherever you
Certainly.
Take this. How did you get there like that? Because all these images, these individuals that you are engaged with, interacting with, I think about the young men on your steps, although you are a sage for them, it's very apparent that you're also learning with and from them. Could you say a little about that?
Well, I just, I know the journey that I've traveled, man, the life that I've lived, and the choices that I've made, and the barriers that I've, been up against, some that I've put in front of myself. I've created my own terrible barriers, but some that were inherent just by, being black, and growing up in a military family. There was some hardships, you know what I mean? The choices that I've made have taken me to some very, very dark places. They were all my choices. And the thing that coming through all of that has left me with a humility, a sense of humility, and just every now and then I think I have a sense that these are things that I have to be doing, and not only that, just the kids that I have worked with, really the work that chose me, because I was a communications major in college, but the minute I walked off the stage, I got a job at a group home, and I became a social worker, and I've been doing it ever since. It chose me, taught me without a shadow of a doubt that I do not have all the answers. I do not know it all, and most of what I think I've learned in life have come from just listening to other people, and talking to other people, especially young people. They can teach you so much. Sometimes you just got to get out of the way, and take some of that in. You know what I mean? So I hope that answered that question.
Yeah, definitely, and I'll say, I feel comfortable sitting down and breaking bread and digging deeper into that with you. That's one of the things I want to personally glean. And I want to extend that to those watching and listening to us as well. These are open invitations. I feel comfortable speaking for both of us. If you have a question and we don't quite get there, reach out. That's one of the beauties of social media and this small universe that we have that's so vast. This is another one of those saintly pictures for me. There's a regal nature about this. When I looked at it initially, because of the things that are going on in the background,
right.
And it made me think about the work of Kehinde Wiley, the painter. There's this excellence about this image and the confidence in this sister. Could you tell us about her and how you went about documenting this?
So I was in South End, and I was just shooting some film, and I saw her sitting at the bus stop. But I didn't want to be obvious, and I didn't want to, so I didn't know if my angles were good. I was just going to ignore it at first, and so I walked by her, And I walked on down by the train and, took some shots. You're kind of getting it all together in your head. And so I started to walk back up toward her. And finally, I just stopped and I said, excuse me. I said, do you mind if I take your picture? And she was like this. I was hoping you would ask. She said, because I'm a beautiful black queen, just like that. Just like that. We took about 3 shots maybe, and she just looked at me. And one, she's just laughing. There's one in the set that's not in the show that she's just laughing because it was funny, because she gave it up, right? And I when she said that, I kind of like, went all in. I'm like, you sure are, you girl, we had this whole, this thing. I think her name was Yolanda, and she was just excited about it, but for that moment, she's like, you're capturing my picture? It needs to be all that I just said I am. So she did this. And then the laughter came because she gave me the regal side of her, the queen that she knows that she is, That's one of my favorite pictures too, man. I love that shot, man.
I agree with you. Thank you for sharing that. I want to open it up, brother. Is there anything that's lingering for you, anything that we haven't hit on thus far that you would like to share? And also, when I can't see everyone in the room, but if there's something lingering on your mind that I can throw out for our viewers and our listeners. I will ask this: what's the next project? What it looks like continuing this body of work, or what's moving you forward?
So, I've often struggled with this idea that I'm an artist. You know what I mean? And so the things that have been happening in the last 6 months, maybe longer, maybe since, COVID, have been challenging me to think a little bit more like maybe you are an artist, in some respect. I mean, try and embrace that in some way. And so, there's no major project in the way, but the things that are on my mind is that, and I said this to Kay one day we were here going over stuff. I think after they had hung it, I came to see it, and as I was looking at them, I think I said to her, I said, I just need to really do more portrait work. I'm just really, because I don't identify myself any one particular way, but I gravitate toward portraiture. And so, what I'm going to try to do, moving forward is just be a lot more intentional about portraiture. And I want to focus more on the senior community, portraits of our senior folks, There was a time that I was, hanging out doing certain things and with a certain folk, but I think now I've slowed down from that, and being around our seniors it feels a little more organic for me now. Yeah, I'll be 63 in August, man, and not that that's old or anything like that, but in my brain, I just kind of want to be around some seniors a little while and capture, what they're doing and how they're living and how they're functioning in this new world, this paradigm shift that's happened since COVID. There's a lot of pain out there, but there's also a lot of joy out there. There's a lot of happiness out there, even in the midst of all that. And, I want to see if I can tap into that and start doing some portrait work there.
And I know some people may feel like this conversation is all over the place with certain things, but it all connects. Because when I hear you talking about the title of artist and affirming yourself and identifying with that, I instantly think about we're all artists in some way.
Right.
But someone has beat it out of us. Or they've socialized or programmed us to not to think that. And I struggle with that journey myself. I love all these images, brother. Like, I could keep talking to you, but this is one I'm battling some things in our city that we haven't properly addressed. Mm-hmm. I think about 2 executions that just took place here in our city, and I'm not sure how the individual here identifies.
Right.
But there's an essence of pride here, just like several of the other images. The image prior to this, the young man looking out the window, there's an essence of pride. There's an essence of discovery.
Yes.
I want to do 2 more images like this. Talk to us about this here. And I don't have a particular question or anything.
No, yeah. This was at Juneteenth several years ago. And, you know, I knew that he was flowing and navigating and celebrating his life like no other. You see the dove on his under his collarbone, you know, and all these beautiful symbols, you know. And just simply, you know, the do-rag. He kind of reminds me of Nile Rodgers a little bit, you know, from Chic, you know, the musician. And he was just so soft-spoken, man, and so gentle, man, and just like, you know, that peace sign meant just what he put it up there. It's like, you know, this meant something to him, you know. We're just living in peace. And then there's the dove. So it was just, you know, a dove with the olive branch in its thing, man. That's powerful. You know what I mean? To have that tattoo. He knows something about what that dove means, you know. And so yeah.
Could you go back to, and I'll close on this image. Could you go back to the image of the young man looking out the window, like a baby?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah. Little Kai.
And I think this is a good one to close on. It's the idea, that look of discovery.
Yeah, look of discovery.
Reclaiming something that I feel like often we let go of things that we feel like aren't necessarily divinely intended for us. When we talk about reclaiming the title artist or whatever title you choose to use,
right?
That's part of what's speaking to me in this image, this discovery of this wonder in the child's face. Who is this, and what made you dial into this moment?
So Kai lives with my aunt. He is my cousin's son's son, and they live with my beautiful, wonderful Aunt Vivian, who's 95 years old. She's my mother's identical twin sister, and my mother's no longer with us. So, but we have Aunt Vivian, and you would never know that you weren't talking or being around my mother. And so, when you go to this house, God has created this family in this house that you just wouldn't. You know, it's unbelievable. And Kai became a part of this family, and when he wants out that door, you know, and so, you know, when I caught that picture and I kept looking at it, it was a picture of discovery, but it was also a picture of like, son, you're going to be out there soon enough, you know, don't rush what's out that door yet, you know, because right now you're cute, you know, and all of that world will be there when you're ready. And even then, you know, being a baby, a black baby, and looking out, you know, and being a 63-year-old man and looking at that, you see just a lot of stuff that moves you, especially right now. What's going on, man? You know, so.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Brother. You know, I know you mentioned your age, but black don't crack. You look amazing.
Black don't crack.
I just want to throw that out there. You look amazing, brother. You know, tell the people where they can find you and follow your work at.
So, you know, I have 3 Instagrams, right? It's Sonder Charlotte, SONDERCLT, at Photobro, PHOTOBRO1. And the other one is mmp.analog. That's where I only post my film work that I'm doing, shooting with film, you know. And I have one other that I started this project called Everyday Hustling, that I take pictures of people working out on the street, whether it's a car wash or a food truck owner, somebody selling funnel cakes, you know, on Freedom Drive. Somebody selling Gatorade on Beatty's Ford Road at the corner, you know, for $1. And I take their picture and I put it on Everyday Hustling. So I got too many. I got to do something about that. You know, it's just too much. But
well, thank you, brother.
Yeah.
For those watching with us, you know, please, if you're interested in the workshops that the Light Factory offers, you're interested in following this brother's work, interested in seeing his work while it is still on display here at South Park Baptist, please check out the Light Factory's website for that information. If you're interested in membership with the Light Factory, you can go to their website as well. Brother, I just want to say again, I love you. Thank you for your boldness with the work. Thank you for nurturing community. Thank you for being a community builder. Thank you for your transparency and your spirit. Thank you for sharing this with us and reminding us about the radical power and the revolutionary power of reclaiming our joy.
Amen.
So thank you for that.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.